Welcome back to the Motorsports Solutions YouTube channel. Today we are working on the E90 M3. What are we doing today? Well, we are getting rid of these stupid lug bolts that Europeans love to use. Absolutely terrible design. I mean, I kind of get why they do it. Not really. I just think it's horrible. But what are we going to be replacing it with today? Stud conversion. And let's talk about it more. Alright, so I was going to do some fancy Core 4 Motorsports press-in stud conversions with F80 X hubs, but I decided to do something a little bit differently. I wanted to do something that more the viewer or somebody who's going to watch this video is probably going to do on it. So these are good for a 10mm spacer, so they're not super long. I don't really think you need anything crazy unless you're running really weak offset wheels, or you ordered the wrong offset wheels, or you're trying to use the wrong wheels. Then you might need something longer. These ones are shorter. They are from ECS, so they're pretty simple. They're open-end style, which is what I would rather have, and I'm going to show you how to properly install them in the right steps to do it. I'm also going to do this in my home garage and not on the lift, so that way it's more easy for anybody to do it. And we're going to do it corner by corner. I'm going to show you how to do one corner, and then it's pretty much the repeat process for the rest. So let's get to it. Alright, so what you need is you either need a breaker bar to break the lugs loose, or use an impact. At this point, it doesn't really matter if it screws up the head or not. The factory size is going to be 17. Obviously, it's a chrome socket. I'm not too worried about it. Plus, I don't want to ruin the wheels with a larger black socket. You need a narrow 4 jack, and then you definitely need a jack stand for safety. So let's get this thing up. So on an E9X generation, you are going to have what every BMW pretty much has, and there's a small lift point. You just got to put your jack on it. It is plastic, so be careful with it. They make inserts that actually go into them. I just don't have mine here. They're at the shop. So we're off the ground. It's going to be hard to get a jack stand in there with the wheel on, so I recommend just breaking the wheel off. Just don't go underneath it. And then remember, this is going to fall off because it doesn't have any studs, because it's lug studs. So I recommend holding it with your foot right here against the tire. That way when you take it off, it doesn't want to fall off the hub immediately. And then you just pick it up and move your tire and wheel out of the way. Alright, so now you're going to grab 5 of your studs. You need blue Loctite, which basically means it can come apart if you need to at some point. The short end of the stud, you're going to apply a thin line of Loctite, and then you are going to hand tighten the stud in. And then you're going to grab a 5mm Allen on a 1/4 inch drive, and you're just going to barely seat it. Now, I'm going to repeat this process for the rest of them. Alright, now once you're done with that, you're going to need to get a flathead screwdriver. You prefer a bigger one over a smaller one. And you're going to slide that into your rotor. You're going to let it rest on your caliper, just like that. Then you're going to get your torque wrench out. You do not have to have a digital one, like the one I have here. And you're going to set it to 11 foot-pounds. That is it. No more, no less. 11 foot-pounds is what you need to put into these. That's why I'm okay with this being on my caliper, because it's not crazy amount of weight. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's going to make it so you can easily torque it without trying to rock the car back and forth. And it'd help if I put them in the on position. Just like that. See, look at that, painless. Now, before we go putting the wheel back on, there's one more thing that I strongly recommend that you do. And this can be done in any application, no matter what. Put a small amount of good old anti-seize on your threads. The reason why I say to do this is because friction is your enemy when it comes to threads. You want it to tighten down, but you also don't want it to bind up, say sand or grit gets in there. So a little bit of anti-seize before you put the new lug nuts on. Now, let's grab the wheel and let's put it back on. Alright, let's put our wheel on. Now, in case anybody's wondering, these are our square set of ZHP wheels for the E9X generation. And this is a 285 30 19 tire on the front, square. Now you're going to start these by hand. I recommend running it as far down as possible for the first one to hold it. And then you are going to grab your impact. It is going to be a 17. And you are going to put it on the lowest setting you physically can, because you are not trying to torque them, you're just trying to run them down. Perfect. Now, it is time to slow the car back down. Slow and steady wins the race when it comes to putting the car down. And she is on the ground. Now, I usually recommend 100 foot-pounds for cars and 110 for a normal truck, like a 6-load truck. I do a pretty fair amount of hard driving with this, so we are going to do 100. It's kind of universal. Some people say 90. I recommend 100. Now, you don't want to over-torque these. These are a wheel stud conversion. Normal lug nuts, same principle. You really just don't want to over-torque them. You will hurt them. So you do them in a crisscross orientation. Because we seated them, they will be seated, so you don't have to worry about the wheel not being centered on the hub. We did already seat it, and we have no issues with that. And that's it. We are done. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed that. This cool little DIY on how you do basic wheel studs. Now, if you're doing a bunch of racetrack work, I really recommend looking to a company called Core 4 Motorsports. Get the F80 hub conversions that have the pressed-in studs. Just upgrade your hubs at that point. It's just really worth it.